Hello, and welcome to our program, Where God Weeps, a program where we speak about the situation of the suffering church around the world. Today we're going to be talking about Sri Lanka, an island nation located just south of India, one that is slowly recovering from a number of man-made and natural disasters. A 30-year civil war which claimed the lives of more than 70,000 people. The 2004 tsunami which left 40,000 dead. And the massive flooding in 2011, which displaced hundreds of thousands. Of all those affected, perhaps none so much as the children. An estimated 340,000 children in Sri Lanka grow up without either one or both their parents. The chief means of survival is begging, or odd jobs like pushing carts, washing plates and scavenging for a few rupees. Many of these children are not able to attend classes and never receive basic education. It is here that the local Catholic Church steps in to offer the services that it can. One such initiative is the Don Bosco Vocational Training Center, located in the north center of the country. To tell us more about the work of the Catholic Church with these street children, it is my great pleasure to welcome Father Susith Milroy. Father Susith, thank you for being with us here today in our program.
Good morning. Thank you very much for the invitation.
Father Susith, when did you first have a sense of your own vocation? When did you know, I think I might want to be a priest?
I'm coming from Don Bosco parish, Salesian parish. I am a Salesian priest, and as a kid always I saw in my parish a lot of movements, young priests playing and animating summer camps, catechism, Sunday mass and a lot of things. So my inspiration was basically from my first Christian community, which is Don Bosco parish, Salesian parish.
And that's why you decided, for you, it was clear from the very beginning, Don Bosco.
Yeah.
But you have already a heart for the young people.
Definitely, because I grew up with a lot of my friends, my own little brother at home. We went to Salesians to play, and a lot of games have been organized. And then I saw the good that has been done to young people, and I wanted to become one of them who were doing a lot of good to young people. And then, of course, the deeper experience of Jesus and the religious sentiments came to me. But at the beginning, it was always sort of a social service and good work carried out to young, poor children.
I want to make a bit of a link. Don Bosco started his work in Turin, in Italy, during the Industrial Revolution, when there were a lot of young children who had been abandoned, who were looking for work, who were hungry. And he started this work with the young people, education and specifically vocational training.
Yes.
You today, in your center, where you have your youth center, you also started this work with the... Can you find the parallels between the situation of the young people that was at that time in Turin, today also in Sri Lanka, that is, abandoned children, poverty, with no possibility for education?
Yes.
How and why is this particular situation now in Sri Lanka? That is, why are there so many street children unable to get an education?
Yes. Don Bosco is fantastic all over the world. We are in 134 countries. We are a missionary congregation wherever Salesians went, because their target, their purpose, their dream was young people, especially the young at risk, poor and abandoned children from war area. And today we are one of the only communities in Aleppo to stay with the young people, to bring a lot of young people to gather in our community at Aleppo and bringing a lot of joy, activities in order to support them in this difficult situation. And my country lived 30 years of bloody war, and a lot of children had been victims of this brutal war. I was a young boy, but I lived in a very secure area, but North Central North had been badly hit by war. And wherever we Salesians are in Sri Lanka or any part of the world, we bring Valdoko to anywhere we go. Valdoko is the symbol and the icon of the first house Don Bosco built. For us, Valdoko means a house that welcomes, a playground wherein friends meet, a church or a community in God in prayer where we have a religious experience. So our Salesian houses are always Valdoko, another Valdoko. It is a parish, it is a playground, and it is a school of life.
Father, you mentioned the war.
Yeah.
Now, your area of your work is in North Central, as you say. The war predominantly was in the north.
Yeah.
But obviously, it affected the whole country and certainly your areas.
Yeah.
How is the situation today? How are the sensitivities? Is there reconciliation? Has reconciliation been able to start? I know it's a very sensitive topic, but I want to ask you, what is the situation today?
Yeah, first and foremost, personally, I did not live war because we were protected in urban areas around locality of Colombo. But war had been always, especially in the north and northeast and some parts of the central Sri Lanka. We were not directly hit by war, but when the war was going on, Colombo and other areas of south and other civil life had been really disturbed, and war was brutal, and it was really an annihilation of all our rights and all our lives, I would say. For 30 years, my generation couldn't go to north. I have never seen north till 2009. So it was blocked and the government control area was there. And after which the civilians, 30 years, we couldn't go. So war had been something really, I would say, very political and very brutal. We Sri Lankans, let us say, we say in our local language, from Adam and Eve, we have been together, Sinhalese people, Tamil people, Muslim people, burghers, and it's a mixed culture because of the European influences and the colonization. But after the independence, this particular groups, which all came together, made the central government, but separatist group, what we call LTT Tigers, they did not want to come in. And also the governing side, some politicians, corrupt people, they made money out of war, out of this despair. So war was there, a very political, very bad. But in our general normal civil society, we all people live together very happily. I answer the second part of the question. Today it is over, and I personally don't agree how it got over, but it is over. It got over through a military operation. We know in all over the world, any military operation will cause a lot of damages to our lives. And I am a priest, I am working with young people. Now 30 years of war gave us a big traumatic situation, unrest situation with the youth. So we Salesians, we carry out, along with other many religious groups in the Catholic Church and with other groups, civil groups, we carry out a lot of reconciliation projects, a lot of peace building projects. Salesian houses are at the vanguard of those areas, especially in North Tamil speaking areas, we Salesian, we give a very important mission and work to the reconciliation and the education and the formation of our young people who have been victims of this war.
I want to come back to the children again. About 340,000 children have either lost one or both parents. According to estimates, 9.2% of children between the age of 5 to 14 engage in child labor. The challenge is huge. That is this a consequence, I suppose, directly of the war? The fact that so many children are without one or both parents, orphans? And then secondly, that child labor is so predominant in the country because they have to survive. Is this true to the reality that what I'm saying, this is true to the reality that you've also experienced? And then secondly, how do you recuperate? How do you find these children? How do you bring them into the centers to give them some kind of vocational training, which is, as you say, the expertise of Don Bosco?
During wartime, this LTT group was accused in a big way of having a lot of child soldiers, and many Tamil communities lost their young children. Many schools were closed down where in the north when the war was in a very high situation. And government, Sri Lankan government, always tried their level best to protect and safeguard children. I say this one very clearly because we work in this area with the government. Sri Lankan army fighting with this terrorist group always protected and tried their level best to get these young people out of war. Always young people was a human shield during war. It was so difficult, and once these young people are recuperated, the government had to work a lot with many groups wherein we also involve because young people were brainwashed for a cause which was not rightly elaborated or explained, just in a very idealistic way, in a very limited way. Young people's mind had been sort of changed. So government through the court have been giving to Salesians some young ex-combatants and a center, a technical school called Nochchiyagama, that is the nearest place that we could reach in 1999 and year 2000. We were establishing that community at Nochchiyagama. I was a young brother there. I worked 1 year there, and we had ex-combatants.
How do you, as a quick, just to jump in, how do you, you have a young boy who has seen so much violence and been obliged to fight at a very, very young age when the mind is so tender. How do you recuperate? How do you put a young person back on a path, a healthy path of life, if you would?
We work a lot with our lay staff, teachers. Sometimes it's very important that we bring in professionals in this area. We had counselors, we priests, we looked after the education and the spiritual accompaniment and the spiritual growth of young people, because this is Don Bosco's philosophy. When we construct physical things like automobilism, engineering, art and civil studies, young people, they get occupied and they think, they reason out, their reasoning faculties are being developed. So once they engage, for example, once our young people are introduced to automobilism, how to repair a car, how to service a car, how to take out pieces and again fix it together, so automatically the personality builds up. So this is something very technical and professional that we carried out in Nochchiyagama since 1999, and a lot of rooms for listening. So we brought in sisters, we brought in expertise because it's a very technical process of attending to the young people.
Bringing somebody out of this trauma.
Yeah, sure, sure. So education, spiritual accompaniment, and also a lot of psychological support, because it is not easy, I tell you. It is never easy, and it will never become easy. One priest in a homily, he said during Mass, if our people, our nation, our government, this terrorist group fought for 30 years, we have to work 100 years of reconciliation, because these generations had seen the loss of their mom, dad, their sister, their brother, their little brother who had been taken, etc. So a lot of violence.
Was there one story that touched you particularly? One young person?
My God, more than one.
More than one. Was there? Can you tell us about?
Yeah, I was a young brother there in 1999. I was 20 years old. After philosophy first study, we are going what we call our practical training, 2 years, before we go for theological studies. So first year, I was asked to go to that area. So my parents were really worried why my son is going, etc. So you know, it's very personal. But with a lot of courage and a lot of enthusiasm, I went. I saw it's a very close opportunity for me to go to the closest place ever available at that time of war area. And one Christmas time, we were preparing the decorations and all those things. And in Sri Lanka, the fireworks are very common for all the religious feast, for Christmas, a lot of fireworks. So myself, my rector, we brought in these decorations and toys and firecrackers, and for Christmas we were just trying to work them out, and children got scared. So that put me really bad, because I did not have that experience of explosions and sound and noise, wherein my children, these little guys, young fellows, they were accustomed to shelling, bombing. When they hear a sound, they have to go and protect themselves. So from that day on, in my life, firecrackers never worked out. So it was a very small, I don't say small, it may be a small incident for me, but it was a very big shock in my life, working with these guys.
To see this.
There were many other things that
I understand.
I can recall to you.
Yes.
Yeah.
Father, Don Bosco himself, he said, whenever anyone would ask him about the secret of his success, he would say, I quote, "I always try to win them over with kindness and love." Is that the same recipe today? That is, when you have someone who is so traumatized, that the first reaction is kindness and love, which then will open up the rest, the heart and the rest of the individual to be educated, to be trained.
Yeah, here I would talk about two areas of our mission. One is especially in the north and north central province, working with the young people who have been directly involved in war zone area. Today they are ex-war zone areas, very peaceful civil society, a lot of development is taking place, but very slow, I would say. I wish my government would invest more, give priority to north and north central, wherein they lacked many. Something is happening, but it's very slow respect to other areas. And there are second group is the other children, other youth who are coming to Salesian, but they did not have direct involvement of war. They are coming from other civil societies. When we work together with people, young people, they are all same for us, for Don Bosco. Don Bosco said, "Studi farti amare," study to make yourself love. That is our target, our mission as religious and priest brothers and sisters, as Salesians we call ourselves. So in our pedagogical educative model we call preventive system, the point of departure is love.
I suppose as a consequence of this love and a consequence of this training, do you see vocations growing out of the young people that you have been helping, these either young women or young men? Do you see vocations growing locally?
Vocations I see in a very broader way. I don't call vocation a life called to be a religious priest or sister. Vocation is for everybody, for you to be a good journalist, a sincere person, speaking the truth and bringing news to other people. For me, a vocation to be a priest, to bring God to others, especially to young people as a Salesian. So we bring a lot of vocations to our young people in a broader sense. Our young people today all over the world, when you go to Sri Lanka in industrial job market, you see a lot of Bosco students being employed, and they go abroad, they find jobs. And now we are working very much on English education to give them a better opportunity abroad. And young people are coming out well with their life, with the training that Don Bosco fathers give. Secondly, a call to religious life is very difficult in Sri Lanka. First and foremost, we are a minority Christian group, Catholic, and religious congregations all over the world today are finding very difficult to get vocations. But compared to religious congregations like ours, diocesan seminaries, they get more vocations. And in a very important way, it is our lives that has to be a testament, a good example to young people, because today's young people, they don't listen to big homilies and big sermons and big talks, big catechisms. They just see you, they talk to you very freely, heart to heart, open, and if they see in us something new, in short, if they see Jesus in us, they will be attracted to Jesus.
You have touched upon the living together. In Sri Lanka, the population, the majority is Buddhist, but there's Hindu, Muslim, and of course Christian denominations. I believe Catholics are about 1.4 million in the country.
Is that 6%.
6%. My question to you is this living together. There have been accusations from the Buddhist majority, for example, that Catholics are doing these kind of social services as a means to convert, as a means to gather more followers. Is this reality? That is, of course, you would reject the reality, but how do you manage the living together with the Buddhist population?
I would put it this way: we in Sri Lanka, all the Sri Lankans together, we are very peaceful and very friendly and simple people. My people are very welcoming. We are very famous for our hospitality. They say, oh, a big Sri Lankan smile. Always people with a small smile on their mouth. And, you know, there are people in all the religious groups who are fundamentalist. Buddhist people are really peace-loving and nice people, but there is a group. There is also a political group, they are fundamentalist, and they never understand the normal flock, the normal people, and they always talk about a nationalism, a very bad patriotism, to say that all the Sri Lankans are Buddhist. If you are not a Buddhist, you are not a Sri Lankan, which is really funny.
They link the religion to the culture.
Yeah, that is done by a very small radical group. But common flock, normal people, we work hand in hand with all the groups, religions, and different, let us say, ethnic groups. But ethnicity, we are not interested. Today, I'm very happy to see my country together, strong, and many people of goodwill, government trying their level best to bring together all the groups, but always these small groups, radicals, I don't think that they have any voice or any strong impact, because people with good intelligence and good heart will understand the common cause of living together and the importance of coming together and the principle of tolerance and accepting each one, giving rights to all the minority groups, working for children and youth. We always come together as religious, whether you are a Buddhist. We have Buddhist monks, our teachers. We have Hindu professors in our schools, and we go, at the same time we go to the temples, and the temple people coming together, and religious festivities. Many Buddhists, they feast Christmas and we Catholic Christians, we go and celebrate Buddha's festivity. And there is one day in the year we call Vesak, wherein Buddha was born, illumined and died. Vesak festivity. The whole country eats outside the road what we call Dansal as a symbol of our fraternity, brotherhood, and we are feasting together.
Father, how can we help? Where would you see that the priority needs are, and how can we help in this capacity?
Yeah, today I believe after war, now we are heading for another war. That is the secularization. I don't say that secularization is bad, but I am afraid and I am a little bit cautious with the secularization. Will we lose our identity of being Sri Lankans, our strong families, the strong bonds that we have in our traditional families? You know, when young people are getting new world, a lot of new ideas, new opportunities, which is very good, but there is also risk of losing our own identity, Buddhist culture, Christian culture, the family, and the development of our cities, education, and we need to bring lot of harmony, lot of symphony, a very holistic education. Otherwise, children will lose, Sri Lankan children will lose their Sri Lankan identity of being Sri Lankans, peace-loving people, and we have to work with education, with very important and giving important emphasis on this holistic education in which all the religions have to play a vital role.
Father, thank you very much for having been with us today in our program.
Thank you for the invitation. God bless you.
And thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for having been with us today in our program Where God Weeps. And if you'd like to know more about the situation of Catholics in Sri Lanka, or perhaps how you might be able to help through prayer or concrete action, I would encourage you to look at the contact information at the end of this program. And we look forward to seeing you next week. Take care.